The crisp autumn air bit at my exposed skin as I hurried from the garage clutching a forgotten lunch bag I'd been so preoccupied with the upcoming merger at work that I'd left the house in. A days I wasn't even halfway to my car when I saw it, her emerging from my neighbor's house, David Miller's house, and she was wearing my favorite leather jacket, the one I'd specifically asked her not to borrow. Cold knot formed in my stomach. It wasn't just the jacket, it was the way she moved the furtive glance over her shoulder, the hurried, almost desperate way she tugged the jacket closed around her as she slipped into her own car. It was the gut feeling, the primal scream in my head that roared, "Something is wrong." Lisa and I had been married for 10 years. 10 years of what I thought was a solid, loving partnership, sure. We had our ups and downs, the occasional argument about finances or in-laws, but nothing that hinted at this betrayal. I didn't confront her then, couldn't. I needed proof. I needed to see it with my own eyes, hear it with my own ears. So I drove to work. The image of Lisa in my jacket exiting David's house burned into my mind. I barely registered. The morning meeting, the endless emails, the constant buzz of the office, all I could think about was her and him. That evening, I arrived home early, feigning a sudden illness. Lisa was out at book club. She texted. I knew where her book club met, a cozy little cafe downtown. I drove past, peering through the window. The cafe was empty. My heart hammered against mirrors. I drove home, a sickening certainty twisting in my gut. I needed to know. I went to our bedroom, my gaze falling on her purse carelessly tossed on the bed. My hands trembled as I reached for it, the leather cool and smooth beneath my fingertips. I rummaged through the usual clutter, lipstick, wallet, keys, until my fingers brushed against something unfamiliar, a small velvet pouch. I opened it. Inside lay a delicate silver necklace with a single heart-shaped pendant. Engraved on the pendant were two initials, L&D, Lisa and David. The room spun, the floor seemed to tilt beneath my feet. I stumbled back, landing heavily on the bed. The pouch clutched in my hand. The blood roared in my ears. 10 years of trust, of love, of building a life together. Shattered by a silver necklace and two intertwined letters. My trembling subsided, replaced by a cold, hard rage. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Planned. I waited. 2 hours later, her car pulled into the driveway. She entered the house, humming a cheerful tune, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. "Hey, honey," she chirped, her smile faltering when she saw my face. "Is everything okay? You look pale." I held up the velvet pouch. Her smile vanished, the blood draining from her face, leaving her ashen and trembling. "Where did you get that?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Let's just say I found something interesting in your purse," I replied. My voice a low growl. The truth spilled out of her, a tour of excuses and justifications, a pathetic attempt to minimize her betrayal. She claimed it was just a fling, that it meant nothing, that she still loved me. Lies, all lies. I listened, my face impassive, the cold rage still simmering beneath the surface. When she finally finished, I spoke, my voice calm and measured. "Pack your things. You have until tomorrow morning to leave." The following days were a blur. The divorce proceedings were messy, fueled by Lisa's desperate attempts to salvage what she could. She even tried to paint me as the villain, claiming I was controlling and emotionally distant. But I had proof, and her lies crumbled under the weight of the evidence. The hardest part was telling our friends and family. The looks of pity, the whispered condolences, the inevitable questions. They were like salt in a gaping wound. But I had one final act of revenge, one final way to reclaim my dignity, to expose their deceit for the world to see. I waited until David's annual neighborhood barbecue, a lavish affair he hosted every summer. I arrived late, dressed in my best suit, a bottle of expensive champagne in hand. I mingled with the guests, exchanging pleasantries, waiting for the perfect moment. Then, as David stood on his patio, basking in the admiration of his guests, I raised my glass and cleared my throat. The chatter died down, all eyes turned to me. "I have a toast," I announced, my voice ringing out across the silent crowd, to David Miller, a man of impeccable taste in other men's wives. The silence that followed was deafening. David's face went white. Lisa, standing beside him, gasped and covered her face with her hands. The whisperers started spreading like wildfire through the crowd, their perfect Facade crumbled before my eyes. I placed my untouched glass of champagne on the table and walked away, leaving the wreckage of their lies behind me. The revenge wasn't sweet, it wasn't satisfying, it was simply necessary, a way to close a chapter, to reclaim my life and to finally begin to heal. The months that followed were difficult. There were days filled with loneliness and regret, nights haunted by memories of what I had lost. But slowly, gradually the pain began to fade. I started to rebuild my life piece by piece. I focused on my work, reconnected with old friends, and even started dating again. It took time, but I eventually found happiness again. A happiness built not on lies and deceit, but on honesty and trust. And though the scars of betrayal may never fully disappear, they serve as a reminder of my strength, my resilience, and my unwavering determination to never again allow myself to be a victim. The jacket remained in my closet, a silent testament to a life lesson learned the hard way, and every time I saw it I was reminded that sometimes the greatest revenge is simply moving on.